Dr. Nicky Howe, CEO of Southcare. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next guest, Dr. Jenny Brockis. Jenny and I have been friends and colleagues for a while, and I was so excited when, Jenny, you said that you would, be prepared to talk to us today. Jenny is a medical doctor and an absolute health brain advocate. So I'm really excited, to hear how we, how do we look after our brains? So welcome, Jenny. How do you get started in this area?
Oh, thanks, Nikki. I get asked that question a lot. My background is that I'm a medical practitioner, trained general practitioner, and ran my own group medical practice for many years. Loved it. Loved working with people, loved running my business, and it was really out of a sense of frustration, actually, because too often I was seeing some of my older cohort coming in with memory problems or actual dementia, and I felt completely useless. I felt I had so little to offer as a doctor to what could make any difference at all. So I decided to sort of look more into the research, and the more I read, the more I realised that we are missing such a huge opportunity to do more for ourselves, to keep our brains healthy for longer, so we can actually reduce the impact of memory problems if they arise, but better still, to look for ways to prevent it from occurring in the first place.
Wow, that sounds amazing. So who would you typically see?
I see all sorts of different people, actually, Nikki. I see people who work in the education sphere, because brain fitness isn't just for older people, it's important for any age. I see a lot of people who are in business or at work, but I also see quite a significant number of people who are more maturing nicely, I say, who are keen to find out what they could be doing more of in order to keep their brains working well.
Thank you. So, Dr. Jenny, how long have you been working with these types of issues with people?
In my current business, it's been 8 years. Wow. But obviously, I've been a health professional for over 30 years. So really, I've been working with these type of issues all my life.
Yes. So, Dr. Jenny, in your experience, what are the barriers that impact on seniors to maintain a healthy lifestyle?
That's a very important question to ask, Nikki, because I think sometimes it's assumed that it's a lack of awareness. And yes, that can be true. But I think the bigger issue is that people aren't doing what they intuitively know would make the biggest difference. Research has actually been carried out in this area to show that when asked, 96 to 98% of people would say that looking after your brain health is important, and yet less than 56% are actually taking any initiative or making any steps towards achieving that goal.
If you are over the age of 70, is it too late to get your brain fit?
Absolutely not. No, you're never too old to start putting in place those steps required to elevate your own level of brain fitness. I mean, the sooner you start, the better. But no, age does not discriminate here, and it's just a question of making the decision to start doing it.
So what are the keys to having a fit brain?
Well, actually, people tend to think it's a genetic problem, so that if there's a family history of problems with memory or dementia, that they assume that's going to be the problem. But in fact, it's lifestyle that's been shown to make the biggest difference. And lifestyle covers a number of different aspects. So there are supposedly 7 pillars of what we call brain health. And these include things like remembering to eat, to move, to sleep, to keep our stress under wraps, to always stretch our mental muscle, to stay social, and to look after our general physical health as well.
Oh, wow. So, Jenny, can you elaborate a little bit more on each of those steps?
Sure. When it comes to nutrition, one of my favourite subjects.
Me too.
We forget sometimes that food is more than just fuel. It's actually really important for helping us to maintain a good mood, maintain our memory and better thinking skills. So food choices matter enormously. Moving more, I mean, obviously as we get older, sometimes we get joint problems and other forms of difficulty that make it harder for us to move around. But of all the lifestyle factors, staying physically active as far as possible makes the biggest difference to how well we think. Next up is sleep. And a lot of older people will complain that, you know, they really struggle with this, but ensuring that you keep what we call good sleep hygiene habits can make the biggest difference to making sure you do get enough sleep each night on a regular basis. Then stretching your mental muscle. Now, a lot of people think that this means sort of playing those online brain training games, and yes, it can include things like that, except they're not always that brilliant. Forgetting that we actually stretch our mental muscle in many different ways, especially when we're in the company of others. So it could be something like joining a book club, signing up to take a class, learning something new, anything that sort of stretches your imagination or your mind so you're learning something different is a great way to stretch that mental capacity.
Yeah, you don't think about those sorts of things,
No, we don't.
you?
We forget. And of course, staying social is so important. Loneliness is a killer.
Yeah.
So staying socially connected matters enormously to our physical, our mental and our cognitive health. And of course, looking after our general physical health is so important. And yes, as we get older, other things tend to happen too. So making sure we're staying on top of them, keeping up with our doctor's visits to make sure we're staying as fit and healthy as possible also makes the biggest difference to how well our brain ages, and to, of course, never smoke.
Yes, that's a big one, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah.
it is.
So Jenny, what sort of outcomes can people expect if they follow a brain fitness program?
I think the first thing that people will say is that they feel more energised, that they've actually got a bit more oomph, that they feel better in themselves overall, and particularly that they've noticed that they're a bit sharper. Right, you know, we all experience those memory lapses and tip of the tongue moments from time to time, but it's that sort of sense of improvement, which of course is highly motivating as soon as you start to sense, oh, I'm actually better than I was, and that can happen in just a matter of weeks. You know, 3 months or 12 weeks will for most people show a significant improvement if they're honest and actually follow their program as it's meant to be done.
Yes. Yeah, well that's terrific, isn't it? So with a brain fitness program, do you sometimes find that people are not sure that they would benefit from it?
Yes, and I think this sometimes comes from a place of uncertainty or a lack of confidence. People sometimes assume that they've just got to that point with their lives that, you know, they're beyond help, that they're not going to see any benefit, and, you know, if it's going to take a lot of time and effort, can they be bothered? Because then they haven't got that certainty that they're definitely going to improve. And I think we have to allay those fears first. And I think there's nothing better than a bit of social proof.
Yes.
If your friends are taking part in a program, or you know of other people that have been taking part, and you can see and they're telling you how much better they're feeling, how much sharper they're feeling, then I think that is proof enough in itself. Although there's also sufficient research that's been carried out now to demonstrate that it clearly does work. So we've got the benefit of the science to validate it, and we've got evidence from other people who've already undertaken the training.
So Jenny, what about people who think that they're doing all the right things, but of course they're not?
Well, hopefully they are doing many of the right things. I think the question that has to be asked, and I think this is why it's useful to have some input from somebody who's a trainer or familiar with, you know, what it takes to be enjoying a high level of brain fitness, is to ensure that all aspects of lifestyle are being addressed. Because I don't know about you, but I find I'm very good at doing those things I'm already quite good at and that I like doing.
Yes.
and not so good at those things that I don't enjoy so much.
Yes.
So, for example, if exercise really isn't your thing, you might be really attentive to your diet, you might be getting enough sleep, but if you're not getting the physical activity in, you're missing out. So I think sometimes checking in to make sure that you are including all the different aspects is important, and then that you're doing it to the right level. Because yes, what does physical activity mean? Is it just walking to the shops and back? And is that enough? And if it's not, what else could you be doing just to raise the bar a bit so that you are achieving the goals that you're setting out to do?
So, Jenny, we've talked about learning new things, but what if you were teaching somebody something? Would that have an impact?
Absolutely. The best way to learn something is actually to teach it to someone else. And so many people have got so many wonderful skills. Sharing their stories or their expertise with others is a great way of building knowledge base for everybody to enjoy. So yes, absolutely.
And keeping your own brain fit, as you say.
And keeping your own brain fitter at the same time, yes.
If our audience would like to get more help with this process, what services do you offer them?
I provide a variety of different services. Sometimes I do community talks. Sometimes I run seminars, masterclasses or workshops. I've got a website and I've got a huge amount of written material there. So if people are interested in reading some articles, they're very welcome to visit my website. There's just a trillion of different articles that you just choose to read up on. I've written a couple of books as well, so there's a number of different ways they can start to find out more information.
So if you do want to boost your brain power, Dr. Jenny is coming and running an information seminar on the 25th of April, so you can certainly get in contact with us via our website or email, and we'll be able to give you some more information. So I'm really looking forward to that, Jenny. That'll be fantastic.
I'm really looking forward to it too, Nicky. Thank you so much.
Thank you.